Okay, I'm back on the channel again. I've been gone for a little bit, maybe 10 days, and I wanted to get back and talk to you people again because I care about you, believe it or not. And why? Why would I care about you? Because I felt like whenever I was trying to find something that was going to be the key to getting ahead financially for me personally, with my limited skills, my limited education, I, eventually obviously found a cleaning business to be that key. But all my life before that time, I, I doubted myself. I had insecurities. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was probably the second to smallest guy in my class, all throughout growing up, and I never was good at sports. Never was a popular guy, didn't have the good looks necessarily, didn't have money like a lot of people. And, when you grow up in that situation, you tend to doubt your own abilities. It's not so much that, other people are doubting you, but you put limitations on yourself. And that was me. I was born in 1961. I was the third son of 5 kids, so I wasn't in the bottom 2, I wasn't in the top 2, I was right in the middle. I'm a classic middle child. So, I was not big enough to do what my older brothers could do, and I was kind of always had responsibilities like them, but I didn't get I didn't get the free ride like some of my younger siblings got. So being in the middle was kind of you can look it up on the middle child. Usually they end up being some of the most well-adjusted kids. Maybe that's you, I don't know. If you are a middle child, go in the comments right now and just say, yeah, I was in the middle too, and I understand. But, so growing up, I, didn't have confidence in myself. I wouldn't talk like this, I might just say, my voice would be, I wouldn't speak up too loud, and, my voice wouldn't boom at all, it wouldn't cut, through anything, and I might say something and somebody wouldn't even hear me, okay? I didn't speak up in class. A book report was probably the scariest thing that I would ever have to do, and they say public speaking is feared even more than death with a lot of people. So, that's who I was growing up. And I grew up, I graduated high school, of course, in the 12th grade. I don't even know why they graduated, me in my class in 1979, but I'm glad they did. Otherwise, I'd still be there. But my grades really weren't great. They were D's, some F's. I may have had 1 B. I don't think I had an A in the entire class, in my entire report card in my senior year. So, there's that. So that didn't bode well for me to, really go out and make it big in any kind of business. So, that's just where I was at. So here I am, I'm out of high school. I don't have a job. But my dad always, he kind of fancied himself like he would read positive books, like the old days, like Zig Ziglar and some of these guys, The Greatest Secret, and he would talk about those at the house, and he'd say, well, these are good books, I read a book called Success, the Glenn Bland Method. It wasn't a nationwide bestseller, maybe it was, I don't know. You probably hadn't heard of it today. You could look it up. I've got a copy back in Missouri. But, and I learned some things. I started reading those kind of books, How to Win Friends and Influence People was a great book. And actually, that book is the one that really helped turn me around, but it was just a seed inside of me. I didn't take the book and boom, go out and just start setting the world on fire. And The Magic of Thinking Big. These are old books, but I'm telling you about my development years and how I started out. And it's not an overnight success. So if you're young, if you're a single mother, if you're a wife, if you're a young guy, maybe a young married guy, and you're trying to do better for your family, I want to tell you the good news and the bad news. The good news is you can do it. You can. And I'll help you do it if you decide to go into the cleaning business. But the bad news is it's not going to happen overnight. At least it didn't for me. So the best thing you can do is bombard yourself with some of these positive, motivational, not rah-rah type stuff, not pie in the sky, 10x everything they say today, or maybe 10 years ago that was a big deal. Grant Cardone, no money down real estate. Yeah, probably some guys do that. I don't know. But what I found is, the effort that you can put forth when the rubber meets the road in your own life, and having a little bit of belief, just a seed of belief in yourself, will do more for you and help you build that cleaning business if that's what you desire to do. Okay? But the magic of thinking big tells a little, shoot, it's been 25 years since I've read it, or 30 maybe. But basically the basic concept is if you'll set aside a time every day, or at least as much as you can, and you write out your goals and your dreams, what you want in life, and then you set aside a time every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and you think about and you meditate on those things that you want to achieve and those goals and how important they are to you, and this is the most important part, you picture yourself, you daydream in your mind about yourself actually achieving those things. You might think about it's a new car, or maybe your debts are paid off. You just spend a little bit of time each day imagining yourself and actually I call it daydreaming, but making believe in your own mind. If you have to lie to yourself in your own brain, allow yourself to believe that you're actually in possession of those things which you desire. This is powerful. It really is. It is not a pie in the sky thing. I've used this technique so many times in my life, and I wish I'd have used it a lot more. I'd have got a lot farther. But I remember one time, me and my wife, second wife, hadn't been married too long. We'd started in our little cleaning business, and I worked at FedEx, and one of our dreams was purchasing a house. And we didn't have the money to do it. We didn't have the credit to do it. But you know what we did do? We'd go out every Sunday and we'd look at open houses. And we went so much, these real estate agents knew us. When we walked in the door, hey, how are you? Because what we were doing was we were getting that mental image of the type of home that we wanted in our mind firmly, and do not allow that thing to leave. And if you'll do that and you'll believe in yourself and you'll believe that you're going to have those things, it's funny, you can call it whatever you want, but the universe will start moving things within, how do I put this? The universe will put things in your path. It'll give you opportunities that you might not have had. And if you're always thinking negative all the time, the universe will not slide these things on your path because you're not ready for it. Okay? But, this is what I did. And we wanted a house, so we'd go out every Sunday and we'd look and look and look at houses. And man, I tell you what, we saw some great things. We made a list of our absolute haves, things that would cross the house off the list, even though we weren't ready to buy. And we did this for probably 2 or 3 years. At the same time, we were paying our bills on time, and we were monitoring our credit. We were doing everything, but we had that goal out there. And I think that goal helped us discipline ourselves to get rid of our debt and be very responsible with our finances. So I was a divorced man of 41 years old, and had 2 or 3 kids in college at the time and paying child support. And I don't regret any of those things, but I'm telling you, my wife had been here from the Philippines for less than a couple of years, and she wasn't making a lot of money. So we were kind of behind the 8 ball, and we worked really hard, and we'd never have anything really left at the end of the month. I thank God that we were actually able, once we started focusing, we were able to pay our bills and then pay a little extra. And it took some time. But crystallizing those goals in your mind and and meditating upon what you want. And let's make sure it's something good, okay? I don't believe if you say, well, my goal is to dump my wife and get a better look. That's not the kind of goal I'm talking about. Honest, moral goals that I believe God wants you to have, and you can interpret that however you want, but this is the kind of mindset that will help you in your cleaning business. And that's the kind of mindset that took me from, let's say, zero to hero, at least in my life. I've done more, I've accomplished more, and I'm more surprised than anybody else that looks at me. I mean, I've got classmates that look at me and they're like, wow, Randall, I can't believe you travel all over the world and you've been in all these foreign countries and you build houses in another country. I've got 2 houses in the Philippines. I've got a farm here. I've got properties in the United States. I've got a place to live there. I've got rental income. I've got storage buildings. And these are not huge. Anybody can do this kind of stuff. I'm not lifting myself up. Don't get me wrong. If I could get this across to you, I looked at a lot of people online and they'd tell you how to do things. And I'm like, yeah, it's easy for you to say, but you had a college education. You had this, you had that. I'm telling you, I had none of that stuff, and I did not believe in myself. Let me turn off my fan back here. Okay. I'm sitting here in my house in the Philippines, and I'm retired and enjoying my retirement early, a couple of years early, because I started a cleaning business, and I believed enough in myself, just enough to go on a few calls and put an ad in the paper. That didn't take any courage. I just had to scrape up a little bit of money and start the process. If you don't start the process, you'll never end up with your goals being met. You have to put some skin in the game. I talked to a fellow this week, and he's a good fellow. He's a really religious guy. My hat's off to him on that. But he just keeps telling me, I said, well, what are your plans, your goals? He doesn't make any money, and he lives very, very low. And he said, well, God's going to take care of it. I believe that. I meditate, I pray, and I read Scripture, and I memorize Scripture, and I go to church, and I teach Bible study, and I try to live the life of Christ. Yes, those are all good things. And I told him a little bit about my story, and I said, yeah, I understand. I was that guy, okay? I was that guy. I'm going to do a little synopsis of myself. I was too heavenly minded to be any earthly good. That was what I would say was me back in my early years. Very religious and, got nothing against that. I consider myself, a child of God, and God works through me as much as I allow Him to. But back then, I wasn't putting in the effort to begin to move my life forward in the progression that I wanted it to go. And I believe that God wanted it to go. He doesn't want you to be poor. And I'm not a person that believes in all this prosperity doctrine kind of stuff. You name it, claim it, blah, blah, blah. You give so much to the church, and He's going to just give it back to you. My bone to pick with that kind of philosophy is they never talk about the effort that you have to put in yourself. If you're not willing to put in effort, I love you, but I'm not here for you, okay? And you got to get to the point to where you put in some effort towards your goals. And if you've landed on my channel and you've watched this video this far, it's about starting a cleaning business. That's not the only kind of business that you can start. I could start any kind of business. Once I learned how to start a cleaning business, I started a window cleaning business. It would be a great business that I'm 63. I'm not going to start it. A trash can cleaning business. All these big suburban areas, I lived in one. We had a big plastic recycle bin. We had a big plastic trash can. And the worst thing in the world is trying to clean that thing out. And you know what most people do? They don't clean them out. But you can get equipment, you can get on YouTube, and you can find guys that started this at like $400 or $500, and you can do a business like that. you just have to get on YouTube sometimes and learn some stuff, do some research, get on ChatGTP these days, or Grok, or any kind of AI product, and you can ask it questions and it can tell you what to do, but it can't do the business for you, okay? That's where you step in. That's where your physical action gets in the game, and you got to get that skin in the game. So, a lot of people, they'll start a business. Oh, I know I'm going to tell a story about a guy. He was going to get in the pressure washing business, which is a great business. If you're on this channel, pressure washing business is a great business. You make more money, easier than the cleaning business, easier than the window cleaning business, and other businesses. It's an easy business. You just got to buy a little bit of equipment, get out there, learn how to market a little bit, and you can make money. But this guy was going to get in the pressure wash business, so he went down to Menards, the hardware store, and he bought a pressure washer. And he went home, and he thought, well, I don't have any customers, so here's what I'll do. I'll put an ad in the paper, okay? Well, he put an ad in the paper, and this has been 20 years ago, so paper, yeah, that's what he did. And I know the guy well. You'd be surprised how well I know him. Well, he put an ad in the paper, and he got a few calls. And he'd go out, and he got a couple of jobs. But then the jobs were over, and I don't know how many times he run an ad, but he would just sit home and wait on the phone to ring. And he did a little bit of effort. He went down to the paper and he paid some money and he put some ads in, right? He put in a little effort. That was his effort. Well, he bought the pressure washer too. He put a little bit of investment and took a little risk that was going to pay off. Well, I think he did pay for his pressure washer in a couple of jobs, but he didn't have any other kind of income. A little bit of savings. And he thought, this pressure wash business is going to be the thing for me. So he put that ad in the paper. He did a few jobs. And again, I don't know if he ran any more ads or not, but he just sat at home and waited for the phone to ring. And about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks went by, and he got to where he couldn't hardly pay his bills. And you might say, well, of course. Yeah, that's true. But you know what happened? When he quit putting the effort in, the money quit coming in. And that's a natural law. You can't break it. You can't break that law. If you don't put in effort, nothing's going to happen for you. But on the other hand, if you put forth some consistent effort, you're going to be rewarded for that effort. If you do it in an intelligent and professional way, you can't help but make money in a pressure washing business. I mean, I'm 63. I could go home to Missouri and I could start one. Within 3 weeks, I could probably have more business than I knew what to do with, making thousands of dollars. And I'm going to tell you something. Working for yourself is so much better than working for somebody else. This video is 18 minutes long. I'm going to try to shut it down in about 3 minutes, but I want to tell you this. When I first quit FedEx, we had a few residential homes, and we were doing some new construction clean. That's a whole nother business that I can tell you about, a great business that you can get into. But we were doing a little bit. We had some new houses in a rich neighborhood, and we were doing some cleaning. And I had just quit a few weeks before. And I remember, just like it was yesterday, we'd pulled up to Sam's Club. We needed a bucket, and I needed a shop vac. So I get out of the car, and me and my wife, it's a nice, beautiful spring morning, and we're walking into Sam's Club, and the thought just occurred to me that this is real. I mean, it dawned on me that I had my own business. Now, it was up to me to do with it what I could and try to make a living at it. But it'll make you walk and talk and build more confidence in you by doing something on your own rather than taking orders from somebody else. Now, you have to be smart. You have to be level-headed. You have to have some common sense. But this cleaning business you can do. If you've landed on this channel and that's what you want to do, reach out to me. I'll work with you a little bit. Now, I don't know what that'll be like, but first go down in the comment section and ask your questions. That's free. I will answer your questions about the cleaning business, any kind of cleaning business you want. So anyway, I said I was going to wrap it up in about 2 minutes. It's 20 minutes I've been talking on this telephone, on this camera. And I just wish you the best in the world. I hope that story lifts you up a little bit. If it did, go down in the comments, just let me know. And this channel is going to keep going and keep going. And I just want to help some people live the kind of life that I've been able to live because of the cleaning business. And I'll see you next time.